Everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Eric K. Thomas, and I am the founder of the Quintessential Gentleman. And today we are talking to Tyler James Williams, who is now starring in the new film United States versus Billie Holiday. So super excited to have this conversation with him. I believe he's in right now. All right. Mr. Williams.
Ah, there we go. How you
It's
doing?
going perfect, perfect. Sorry about that. I was on the other virtual side, making sure you was on. You know how it goes.
It's all good. We'll get it together eventually.
Exactly, exactly. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just out here, promoting this film and trying to stay as safe as possible in the house.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, I know it's definitely tough. You're out in LA, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm out in LA.
Awesome, awesome. So I think you guys have some restrictions is lifted now. So I think you guys are
We
almost at least on the up and up.
it's getting better. The numbers are getting better. However, lifted restrictions don't mean that we should be out here,
Right,
just doing anything.
right.
So I'm still staying in, I'm staying as much as possible, unless I actually have to go out.
Excellent.
And hopefully people can do that here as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's definitely jump right in here and talk about this film, United
Sure.
States versus Billie Holiday. First and foremost, you play Lester Young,
Yeah.
saxophonist with a part of her band. But first, how did you get involved with the project?
I got the script for the project. I'm gonna say maybe about 4 or 5 months out from the shooting, and I absolutely loved it. Susan Laurie Parks did a fantastic job writing it, and I loved Billy's relationship to Lester and how I didn't know much about it. So when I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to work on it, I jumped right at it and got right to work. Essentially learning the sax and getting ready to support Andrew.
Right. Awesome, awesome. Now, her character, or excuse me, your character, and then her character had a very interesting relationship. But before we
Mm-hmm.
get into that, what did you learn about Billie Holiday that you didn't know before going into the film?
I didn't know how much of a civil rights activist she was. I think everybody in the black community knows the song Strange Fruit, but like we don't really understand what it took to get that song out and how much the government tried to stop it.
Hmm.
And that's what I learned here. I thought, it was a song that really spoke to what was happening at the time, but I didn't realize that it was this kind of like war cry that would speak for the black community in a way that we couldn't, speak for ourselves.
Right, right. That's interesting. And I mean, even add to that, as people will be able to see the film, there was a lot of
Mhm.
tensions between, the government and specifically that song. But why do you think it was so important for not only her, but you as well, Lester Young, to be able to continue to promote and play that song?
Well, I think anytime the government tries to censor art, there's usually something behind it. There's usually a reason for that.
Right,
And, I think our job as artists and the job of artists that have come before us is to have the courage to speak to things that a lot of people don't want to talk about and do that through art because, you can give a blank argument or an article about something that's happening, but if you show somebody the story, of what just happened. It'll affect them differently. So that's part of
right.
our responsibility. We don't just make entertainment. We make entertainment that can hopefully push the conversation forward.
And even talking about, just to kind of get a side note, even you talking about the projects that you work on, it seems like you're
Mhm.
very intentional about the projects that you work on. May it be producing certain things or
Mhm.
acting. Why is it so important for you to be very specific about those particular projects?
I was fortunate enough in my career to have a great amount of success when I was really young. So there were certain things that I'm not chasing as much as other people were. And I was able to create for myself a nice, financial cushion. And I think that's ultimately we want to get to that point so that we can do these things. That's it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily chasing the fame or the stardom or any of that. I've done that. I've been there. I did that when I was, in my teens. Now, if my work's not doing something and pushing a conversation forward and changing the conversation and possibly lives, if we can,
Right.
then I'm not fulfilled at this point. That's part of it for me. It's part of my responsibility as an artist.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. Makes sense. And going back to the relationship between Lester and Billie Holiday, I wonder why Lester stood by her side as long as he did, kind of
Hmm.
given the situations that kind of played, even with both of you guys dealing with your own struggles,
Hmm.
with alcohol addiction and things like that and drugs and things like that.
I think they were twin flames in a way. They needed each other. I, Lester, to me, ultimately understood Billy. And, there are people who, in your life that, can be dysfunctional in many ways, but because you understand their story, you give them a certain amount of grace.
Right.
And I think that's what Lester was for Billy. He was kind of the only man in her life who didn't try to take advantage of her. You know what I mean? That was very much so his sister, and they leaned on each other. And I think that's what kind of drove him until it broke, like we see in the film.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the heartbreak of it all. Most people don't realize that Lester and Billy died within 4 months of each other.
Right. Yep.
And that right there speaks to how in lockstep they were in relationship. They were people who were sent here to, in one way or another, lean on each other.
No, yeah, that's definitely it's interesting their relationship, kind of seeing kind of back and forth and how, she leaned on him, but also it was a big piece of him leaning on her. And
Hmm.
then, it kind of fell through how it fell through, but it definitely was great to see in the film. As we talk about these type of films that are being made, I do want to know the importance of them because, a lot of people we have a lot of these type of conversations, but we're really starting to see a difference in the type of
Hmm.
production for these type of films. Why do you, not necessarily why do you think that is, but why is it so important for these particular stories to be made and to show really like not even, for me, I was like, whoo, this is real graphic.
Hmm.
Like every time, every scene I see, Anita, so I'm like, oh wow. But like it's very, I personally think it's important, but I want to know why you think so.
I mean, I think we can't softball anything anymore. I was having this conversation with some mentors I've had in the industry for a long time, and I'm like, we
Yeah.
tried this angle of softballing and doing these like really like subtle things in film
Yeah.
where like, oh, we kind of got the message across, but we left it open. We don't have time for that anymore. I mean, clearly we don't have time for that anymore. We have to show you what's real. And I think that's what, is so great about Lee directing this is that he doesn't pull a punch. He's going to show you everything. You're going to see the things that you don't want to look at. But I think we're now realizing that people can't change things that they don't want to look at. So we kind of have to force them to look at it.
Right. What was your feelings kind of, because I'm not really sure about when the production was done, but,
Hmm.
a lot of the conversations about, the FBI and the things that they were doing were so intentional
Hmm.
to, dissuade and try to make things not easy for them. What was kind of going on in your headspace as you were in the character
Hmm.
and, and being a part of the film?
I mean, that's the ultimate stakes, right? To have your government coming after you, in any way, shape, or form. And that's we finished the film in the end of 2019, December of 2019, like
Right.
literally right
Right.
before the pandemic hit.
Right.
And we were talking about, this is a story that needed to be told, but would it remain relevant? And we didn't know what was to come, only to
Right.
see that, yeah, this is very much so relevant. When people don't feel safe with their government, and when people feel like their government, whether it be on a micro level or a macro level,
Yeah.
whether it be like your local police or the federal government, that needs to be talked about. We can't just continue to let this happen.
And even kind of going into a little bit of racial conversation, just to quote real quick, you tweeted, dear non-black writers, please stop writing black slang dialogue for your black characters. What was your thought process behind that? What happened with that? Just kind of ignited that tweet.
I had actually I had just put something on tape
Right.
in which there was so much black slang dialogue in it. It was like, this is the only way for me to actually pull it off was to rewrite it for the person. I was like, I'm not gonna really say your words. I get the intention of what you're saying, and I'll give you
Right.
that.
Right.
And that's what kicked it off. And I realized I've been, playing or reading for Jamal, Jerome,
Right.
urban sad youth for,
Right.
the majority of my career since I was 4.
Right.
And it finally felt like somebody had to say, like, hey, like this never sounds right, right? Like we
Right.
always know it's a joke
Yep.
actually within the Black community
Yep.
how bad it sounds.
Right.
And it felt like something that's like I've worked with it enough and with enough writers who can understand that I think all writers can get that now.
Right. Perfect. Perfect. Glad you said it. Just so if they didn't know, now they know.
Now they know, yeah.
So now we in a whole bunch of reboot conversations, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
wants to reboot things. Would you be
Mm-hmm.
interested in at least another Everybody Loves Chris to kind of, or excuse me, Everybody Hates Chris to kind of see, what happened?
We like I've said before, we've talked about it, man, and it's about the timing of it all. People don't realize how much in Hollywood doesn't happen just because timing's not right. You
Right.
got to get schedules of people together, and like
Right.
my schedule is now already filling up, looking into the future. So it's like if there's a story there, one, I'm down. If it
Right.
works out with the schedules, I'm down. I think it's just a matter of those two things coming together, and that's it's harder than most would believe.
Right. Definitely understand. And my last question for you is, what do
Hmm.
you want people to actually get out of watching United States versus Billie Holiday?
Well, one, I want people to see her story for the truth that it is. You know what I mean? Something that's not whitewashed or something that's not written from an angle that, somebody had an invested interest for. I want people to understand Billy generally, and I think Andrew does a fantastic job of humanizing her. But I think I also want people to understand that their voice, no matter how hard it may take to get it through, needs to be heard. You have something to
Right.
say. She fought the federal government.
Right.
That's, it doesn't get much harder than that. But I
Right.
hope people get that sometimes there are stories and messages and things that you have to say that you're going to have to fight uphill on, but it needs to get out.
Perfect. Perfect. Well said. Well said. Well, I know you got things to do. I appreciate you taking your time, guys. Make
Appreciate
sure
you,
you
man.
check out Tyler James Williams in the upcoming film United States versus Billie Holiday on Hulu, February 26th. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you later.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks.